Hey you, and welcome. In this video, we're going to enhance our knowledge of functions by passing parameters and returning some values. So let's dive right into it. I will open up my coca and close the terminal, and we are ready to go. I will start by writing a service, a function that is going to log something for me in the console. So I'll use the const log equals to a arrow function, and this arrow function will console log message like so, and I'll call log under that right here. Perfect. And we can see on line number 2, it is giving me a message. That means it's working. The log function is being called and the message is being printed out. What I want to do is pass in information like message from my log function call. So I can say message, or this is a message like so, and I want to accept that as a parameter. We have seen that in the previous videos. All you got to do is in the parentheses accept a parameter and name it whatever you would like. In this case, I'll just call it message, but you could name it anything you'd like, and all these parameters could be any data types. Right now I'm accepting only a string, but it could also be an object, array, class method, anything like that, right? So let's just pass message, and there we go. It's working just fine. Now let's enhance this a little bit, and maybe I want to come up with a prefix, which will be a new date to date string like so, and I will prefix this before. So let's use string interpolation. Pass message. Message would be after the prefix, so prefix would be here and then separated by a colon, and there we go. Now we can see that the log function is telling us what was the date when this message was logged out into the console, so we have some more information. So that's how you pass information in the function. Now that's not the only way. In frameworks like React, we may work with objects very often. So let's take a look at how they work. So right now, instead of accepting message, I will say this function only has one parameter, and it's called param. And inside the param, there will be a message. So you can see right now it's undefined because the message that I'm passing is a string. It's not an object type. So I have to convert it into an object type, and inside that object, there has to be a message key for it to work properly. So let's see how that looks. I will start an object notation, pass message key, and there we go. It's working just fine. So that's how in React frameworks we would pass objects, and props would be destructured out of the function. So let me show you what I mean by destructure, because that's another pattern we may run into. So in the param, since this is an object, I have to do param.message. However, that's not the only way to work with this. I could destructure the message right in the parentheses of the call of the function by using the curly braces, and inside that, destructuring out the message and take away param from here and message like so. So it's still working. And the reason why is because in the object, if there is a message key, it will destructure out correctly, and I'm able to use that as is. So I don't have to do param.message. So this pattern is pretty common in frameworks like React. Great. With that out of the way, let's also take a look at how we're going to be able to return a value from another function. So let's call another function and make this level to string. It will be an arrow function. And the concept is that I want to pass a level of log, and there will be two levels. There could be info level and a arrow level. Let's go with that. And the levels in this case would be in numbers. So if you provide me number 1, then it will be info. If it's any other number, let's say number 2, then it's going to be a log level. And I want to control that using a converter. So let's show you how that works. In this case, for the level to string, I will accept a level as a parameter and do a if condition. We will take a look at if conditions, switch conditions in the later videos, but for now, let's just work with this syntax. So level equals 1. If it equals to 1, we will return a string, call it info, all uppercase, and then else would return log. That means only if you provide me 1, it will be an info log, otherwise it won't be. Perfect. Now let's also in the log function start accepting another parameter inside the parameter object called level, and this would be let's call it level string. And let's call our level 2 string method like so, or function, and then pass the level to it. And then level string will be put right at the beginning, even before the prefix, separated by a pipe. So right now we can see it's working, it's returning log because level is set to undefined. We're not passing level, so that's not 1, it's undefined, that's why it's showing log. Let's change it to info by passing level in the object as 1. There we go, it's working just fine. So that's how we can return values from a function too. And the same rules apply. It can be any object type, any array type, class type. You can return all the data types that you can accept as a parameter back as the return. In JavaScript, not only can we work with data types like string, boolean, object types, array, any class, but we can also pass functions and accept functions as a return value from another function, which makes it pretty cool because we can work with something called the functional programming paradigm. A first part of that would be a callback function. So let me show you what that looks like. So instead of calling a level 2 string that is accessible right here, instead of me just calling that, I could pass that as a callback. I could name it anything I would like. I just called it callback here because it just goes with the name. And I'll just pass a reference. Now notice what I'm doing here. I'm passing the reference of the function. I'm not calling it. I'm passing a reference. That means the parentheses are missing. That's how it becomes a callback. And it will be called later on by my log function. And in the log function, I will destructure callback out, and I can call it right here. Perfect. And it should still work. It still works. It's just that now the log function controls when this function gets called, whereas before it would be maybe both of them get called simultaneously. This is very useful when the function is relying on the output from another function. So then the one function can call another function when it's ready to give an output. Perfect. But we can also accept function as a return. So that's where things get a little confusing. Bear with me just for a minute. So let me say for level 2 string, I will provide another function as a return value. So I will return another function. So that's just anonymous arrow function right here. And inside that function, I will pass this logic. So what happened here? Well, it will break my logic a little bit. So you can see the console log looks a lot weirder than before. And the reason for that is because when we return level 2 string reference, it's returning a function rather than a string value. And what we need to do here is call this function. So that means when you call the function for the first time, next time it will return another function as a return value. And we can see it's a log, but I think it's a little broken. Let me scroll up a little bit. Yes, it is broken. And the reason for that is because level as a parameter is being accepted one level above a function. So there's 2 levels of functions right now, our main level and then a return level. On the return level, we should accept a level parameter, whereas on the main level, we should not accept it. And there we go. It is fixed. Now it shows info rather than a log. Now, yes, it can get confusing, but I wanted to just show you because we may run into scenarios where we will pass callback functions. Returning functions, in some cases, yes, we may look at that, but that's a little bit of advanced. It's called the curry functions or functional programming paradigms, but we'll look at that in the later videos. All right, I'll see you all in the next one.